And as usual, I forget to take down that screen. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Grey Exchange. Good to see everybody in chat. I'm gonna try. I can try to get in here and say what's up to everybody, but there is a ton of you folks in here already. There's about 62 to 72 of you folks. I see Za in there, Cat Lady, Tennessee Tactical, Dragon Shield, Scarzo, Joe Morgan, Ark Wildman. I'm trying to go through this quick so we don't waste too much time. Let me see here, CB. And let me see. Did I miss anybody? Probably missed a few folks. David. Let me see. I think I got Johnny Rhodes, Milo on the ready, God's War Angel, Misk Mitz, Monty, Harvey Black. Thank you all so much, OFC Nation. Good to see all you folks. So tonight we have Bear from Bear Independent. So this is going to be a very intriguing interview, folks. I hope you guys enjoy this. Don't forget to smash that like button. Matter of fact, I always forget to throw this banner up there. You guys know how it rolls with the Super Chat of the Month giveaways that I do. What's up, Sherry Leach, Squirrely Radio, Tina West? I think I got everybody. Anyway, so yes, here we go. Let's not waste any time. Let me bring Bear up and open this chat so I can see you folks. What's up, brother? Good evening.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Oh boy. Live streams are always fun because you never know what can go south.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. I love the live stream. I enjoy getting to interact with the people in the chat. I see Dragon Shield is here. He almost got shot at our office one time, so that's cool. I know David Campbell, J.A. Dudley. I know that guy. I know a bunch of people in the chat. I mean, that's awesome. So I love it. Thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate it. Anytime. And you folks out there who might be watching this who wonder why you can't chat, GreyMan has a thing where he sets subscriber only. So if you subscribe to the channel, you got to wait a couple of minutes and then you can talk. It's just a good way to keep out the nasty little trolls. You know what I'm saying, folks? All right, Bear. So there might be some crazy person out there that doesn't know who you are, but if you can please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your channel.
Sure. So Bear Independent is a YouTube channel here in this particular universe that we talk about homesteading, preparedness, faith, real tactical, practical prepper stuff. And we live in Eastern Oklahoma. We have bazillion chickens. My wife, myself, gaggle of kids. We're surrounded by an awesome community of people. We've got sheep, we've got cows, we've got turkeys. We operate in the woods. We own a company called Refuge Medical. We make handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever blowout kits, individual first aid kits, stomp bags, whatever you need, medical stuff. It's the best. 19 lives saved in the last 15 months. Then we also have Refuge Training, where we train people how to use that stuff. Everything from like a 4-hour stop to bleed all the way up to austere medicine. And I shoot videos for the internet, and enough people enjoyed that here we are for some strange reason, after about 3 years, we've got 118,000 subs. And I think it's really freaking cool that there are people out there in the Bear Nation that support what we do, because we're just normal people. And that's what we wanted to do at Bear Independent. The whole idea is how to be as independent from the fragile system as possible without running around with your hair on fire, screaming about the Illuminati and the hollow earth theory and all that. There's enough, dare I say, real stuff going on that we can be concerned about without having to jump into all those rabbit holes, regardless of how valid they may or may not be. So, Roger
that. And just so you folks know, I did forget to mention for the first 25, 30 minutes or so, I'm going to ask Bear a few questions, and then we're going to involve you, the chat, and I'll let you guys field questions to me, and I'll have Bear answer them if he likes, and then we'll go from there. Usually we try to shoot for an hour. We might go a little over depending on what Bear's schedule looks like, which is I'm pretty sure he's a busy man, so we'll try to do the best we can. All right, so speaking of YouTube, man, we talked a little bit about this behind the scenes in the green room. It looks like I have November 17th as your basically your introduction to the YouTube verse. I know you did a little bit on Facebook. You kind of transitioned from Facebook into the YouTube verse. D14, thanks for the super sticker, brother. So tell us a little bit about that journey, brother, and some of the trials and tribulations where you've went through, that you've overcome to get past the points that you are now from this last 3 years.
So I started the YouTube channel because my wife was tired of hearing me complain. And I was complaining about a Canadian prepper video about 10 places you can find water in SHTF. And literally one of them was jump your fence and go into your neighbor's backyard and use your Silcock key to open their water valve. I'm like, bro, I live in Texas. That'll get you hollow pointed. That's a bad idea. And so I was carrying on and on with that in the kitchen, telling my wife what a stupid video that was. And she said, well, make a video. Well, I don't want to. So then shut up. Well, it's a stupid. And we went back and forth. And finally I shot a video and it was terrible. My first video was terrible. My first 100 videos were terrible. But for some reason, you know, people, you've been around a long time too, but a lot of people have come alongside us as we were just getting started. And I guess they saw some merit, they saw some value in what it was that I had to say. And so I would say to new content creators or people who are relatively new to this journey, the best piece of advice I ever got for making YouTube content or content in general was again from my wife. She said, honey, you're trying too hard. I know you're a badass. You know you're a badass. Stop trying so hard. Just be you. Just be yourself. Because you're my Mr. Bearman, super tactical operator guy. And stop. She goes, just be yourself. And your truth will resonate with the right people. And those people will come alongside of you. And we have a little sign that hangs up in our living room that says your vibe attracts your tribe. And so you don't have to be for everybody. You shouldn't be for everybody. If you're pleasing everybody, something's wrong. If you are right for 0.1% of the world's population, man, you still got what, 70 million people to follow you, right? And so be you. And then when the internet trolls show up or the world gets you down or you post a video that you think is going to go big and it just doesn't, or the algorithm changes or they demonetize your channel, whatever, just keep going. Just keep going. I mean, I posted a video yesterday called It's a Truck, Not a Toy. And there were a bunch of people, and I wonder what that's about. And there were a bunch of people that are like, damn, Bear, you look fat. You're right. You're right. Bear does look fat because Bear is recovering from surgery. Thank you very much. And so I shot a video today. Hey, here's what I'm doing to be less fat. Okay. And so you get these, you're going to get people out there, whether you might think they're really being malevolent towards you. They might just be playing, but because it comes across in text, you don't have any tone. You don't have any context. You don't quite understand what they're saying. And they don't mean it, but you feel like they meant it. And then there's some people that really are being malevolent. They really are jerks. They really do need to get smashed in the teeth. That's fine. At the end of the day, you don't have to lay down in bed next to those people. You don't have to go to work with them. They're people on the internet, and they can mean as much to you or as little to you as you let them. So there's this philosophy in Stoicism that it only matters as much as you make it matter. Okay. Oh, Gardner Josh, it's all good. So it only matters as much as you let it matter. Like we suffer more in our own minds than reality. And so when you get comments and stuff like that that's perceived as negative, take ownership of them. Hell yeah, you're right. I'm fat. I need the PT. Guess what? That's why I'm PTing twice a day. Owned it. Next video. Put that to bed. And so just keep going. Tenacity is the most underrated thing, I think, in life, whether it's business or personal or making YouTube videos or faith or your fitness journey or whatever it is. It's tenacity. Like you can't stop me. I might only get an inch a day in progress, but you cannot stop me. I'm coming, right? And it's that. And I don't think that's something that can really be taught, but we can model that for other people. And that's the idea behind Bear Independent. Bro, if my dumbass can do it, you can do it, right? Like prepping is not that hard. If I can do it, you can do it. So just keep going. That's what I would tell to anybody out there, regardless of whether you have a YouTube channel or not, regardless of what your station in life is, regardless of what's been thrown at you, just keep going. Even if you're just pulling a Marcus Luttrell and drawing a line in the sand and one after the next, just keep going.
No, that is definitely sound advice. I do want to say thank you to everybody here is in chat. Chat is moving too fast for me to keep up with you folks. So I want to say thank you for all you folks being here and the folks that did subscribe to enjoy this content. Oh, be charming. Some of the folks that are my regulars, as I call them, as the Grey family, are awesome folks in here. So that being said, Arkansas Prepper Network, there are 270 people watching.
Nice.
There's thumbs up. There's rookie numbers. Everybody hit those thumbs up. I appreciate that, Arkansas Prepper Network. In Arkansas, I was looking today because I was watching one of Bear's old videos because I always go do some research and whatnot. And I saw he was linked up with some of the Arkansas folks out there. And I was like, you know, you've been one of my members on my channel since pretty much when I started this membership thing. So I want to say thanks, brother. You're pretty awesome. Truly appreciate that, brother. And we'll get to some of your guys' questions here in a bit. Because like I said, I've been watching Bear when he used to just shoot videos. There you go.
So I was playing drums for PT before this, and this is my sweaty ass dirty shirt that I was wearing. That is the Arkansas Preparedness Network logo right there. So shout out to the APN. Appreciate you, APN. You guys are the best.
But like I said, Bear was saying, you know, he's been consistent for quite some time in putting out the content that he's been doing. Like I said, I started watching Bear when he was just shooting videos in his truck, either on or away from work. I think you were just going to work every morning and just dropping a video on the phone, man. So that's truly impressive to where you got.
Oh, the other APN. Well, you're cool too, APN.
I think they're all somewhat friends with each other or whatnot.
Well, it's Arkansas, you know.
Yeah.
It's anyway. I'll shut up now.
So let me see. What do I got here? I'm trying to see what I got pushed up for some questions and stuff like that because I've went through so much of your information just to kind of get a refresher. And a lot of folks. I mean, you moved from Texas to where you're at now. I think where you're in Oklahoma.
Yep, Eastern Oklahoma.
And you had your reasons for Texas. You know, you guys can go watch Bear's content for the reasons why he left and whatnot. I don't think I need to repeat that. But you're in the Homestead situation right now. So when I ask questions, like, let's say, you know, I want to touch on bug out bags. People are always asking me about bug out bags. And I know some of your older videos, you had discussed it. You were sitting in the truck and you were like, man, I got this, I got that. I got the bug out bag. I got an extra bug out bag. What do you suggest to people instead of spending, you know, thank you, Jeff Sams, for the donation. Appreciate that. For people that are just getting involved into prepping, because I don't feel prepping is never too late to start prepping. You know what I mean? But a lot of people are scared of the cost because, you know, gear can be very cost intensive to some folks. But you said something to me that kind of pulled me in, and it was like, you said, at least start with the 5 C's, you know, get a bag and at least start with the 5 C's and you'll be on your way to success down the road. Do you want to share like how you developed that idea?
Sure.
I mean,
so the 5 C's comes from David Canterbury at Pathfinder Survival, and they are cutting tool, combustion, cordage, container, and cover. Those are the 5 things you gotta have, and then we've added more C's to it from there, depending on the kit and the capability that we need, such as commo, calories, combat, casualty care, compass, etc. But the basic 5 C's is cutting tool, combustion, cordage, container, and cover. And so cutting tool is obvious. You need to have a knife is like the #1 tool that you're going to interface in your environment with, whether that's a folding knife for EDC or it's a fixed blade for your bug out bag. Cutting tool, combustion. It's, yeah, we can rub 2 sticks together and make a fire. It's much easier to spend 89 cents on a Bic lighter, put it in a Ziploc, put it in your bag. Or you could add a couple trioxane tabs to that, good to go. Should we know how to make friction fires? Sure, they're badass. And it makes us feel badass when we can create fire from wood. Comma, on the worst day of my life when I have to use this stuff, I don't want to be messing around with a friction fire. So make a little combustion kit, maybe some storm matches or something. Cordage. Cordage can be made in the wild. It's much easier to just have some. 100-foot hank of paracord. It's like $10. I like to pre-cut my 100-foot piece of paracord into 4 16-foot pieces and 6 6-foot pieces. 6 foot is long enough that it can be used to lash something to something else or to create extra bootlaces or tie somebody up or whatever. And the 16 foot's long enough for a ridge line. or down guys for a tarp shelter. And that way I don't have a 100-foot ball of knots when I take it out of the package. So I like to pre-cut it 4 16s and 6 6-foots, but wherever your heart takes you, cut your paracord however you like, okay? Container. We live in a world today where, unfortunately, if you walk along any road for long enough, you're going to find an old water bottle or something. But I don't really want to bet my life on the fact that I found an old water bottle. So containers are very difficult to make in the wild if we're going to bug out. So a stainless steel single wall bottle that I can boil water in, but also carry water in, is a great way to start for container. And then cover is what you're wearing. But then I would also say that you need to have a good weather layer, like at least a poncho, if not Gore-Tex, and then dressed for the season. And most of these things, like if you had $100, that's it. All I've got is $100 for prepping. Okay, you can get adequate stuff for all to check all of those boxes at Walmart and a bag to put them in and still have money left over. Does it make you super cool prepper guy? No, it does not. Do you need to be super cool prepper guy? No, you do not. What you need to do is not die. And you need to have some type of capability on the worst day of your life when you have to use this stuff. That I have a knife, check. I have some cordage, check. I have a way to make a fire, check. I have a way to get out of the sun or the rain or the wind, check. And I have some water to drink. And I would add to container some type of treatment, whether it's a water filter, like a Sawyer Mini, or tabs, Aquamira tabs you can drop in there, whatever. A way to treat that water, filter that water so that you can drink it. It's like $100. And the other thing you can do is audit your house. You probably have like a badass kitchen knife that would look pretty good in a bug out bag, right? You probably have an old backpack somewhere. You probably have some rope or some cordage or something. Most people could walk around their house if they were determined and put together an adequate 5C system and not spend a dime. The thing is, it doesn't look cool. And looking cool is a big part of preparedness, I've come to learn. So.
No, solid advice there. I see a good friend of mine. I just want to say shout out to Alaska Prepper. Thanks for joining us this evening, man. Truly appreciate whenever you jump in chat, man. It's good to see you, brother. And I agree with you, Bear. Friction fires, friction fire, bow drills, all that stuff like that. But what I usually look at is calorie expenditure when it comes to, let's say something as simple as starting a fire. You know what I mean? And I've watched some of these pros on some of these channels that say Alone or Naked and Afraid and sit there for 5-6 hours. And these guys are trained to do this stuff and they're just blowing calories. And where they could just either have a ferrocerium rod or a lighter, like you said, something quite simple. Another aspect I agree with you. I'm not a fan of the life straw. Once I dug into it, just not a big fan of it, man. Hands down, if I had to choose anyone, would be the Sawyer Mini or the full-size Sawyer. They're just a hell of a lot more reliable. So definitely, we're pretty much on the same page when it comes to a lot of that stuff. I just want to say, folks, I do apologize. The chat is moving extremely quick, but thank you all for being here. We will get to some questions here down the road. I know you guys are probably eager. So if anybody that I missed, there's a lot of you in here. Thanks so much for being here. Truly appreciate that. And if you guys can, definitely hit that thumbs up. All right, Bear. So let's see. What else do we got? I went over that. Also, I wanted to applaud you, man. You did something, and Rudy over at Alaska Prepper does this a lot as well. You did something back, what was it, in 2019. You came on the channel. You used your voice and your channel to help folks out, which is something you did back when the hurricane hit Panama City. You raised money for those folks down there for food and whatnot. It's great to have folks like you that do that for the community and go out and help these folks, man. It's something I truly take to heart. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I appreciate that, but that was really just a conviction that the Father put on my heart after talking to a gentleman who became a brother down there in Florida, who simply said, "Hey, Bear, we need help, and you have a voice. Can you help us?" And I was like, "Man, I'd be a total a-hole if I didn't."
Right.
And so we, just a little lesson in faith here. The first time we went to Florida, we had a $3,000 budget to go about 3,000 miles round trip and feed as many people as we could for 3 days. And I had no idea how we were supposed to do that. And we went and we did that. And when we got there, There were 32 people wearing bear shirts waiting for me. So me plus 32 people, 33 people. And we fed as many people as we could for 3 days. And when we got back, we still had $3,000 in the bank account. Little miracle right there, right? And that's how Grindstone Ministries was born. And we went back to Florida again, and we've gotten involved in anti-human trafficking, and just if you call yourself a prepper, if you're into preparedness, if like this is really more than just a simple interest or a hobby for you, a great way to see if you can actually perform all of the functions that you're hoping to be able to perform when things go sideways is go bless somebody like that. Go do a relief mission. Live out of your bug out bag. You're going to have to, you've got your truck right there, right? So you got a safety net. Okay. But go operate it. It's an austere environment. You go see somebody whose house has been completely destroyed by a hurricane or a tornado. There's nothing. There's no electricity. There's no commo. There's no logistics, which means there's no fuel. There's no transportation. There's no place for you to sleep. There's no resupply. There's just you. And you're dealing with people who are on edge in an environment that you've never been in before. It's the perfect scenario to train preparedness and be a blessing to somebody. And so that's how we first got involved. And that's, with this disaster relief. I'd done work for FEMA back in the day and sworn that off. I can't stand the federal government. As a FEMA contractor, that was another nightmare. But anyway, so we went back to Florida and did that. And I would encourage people to find opportunities like that, because you learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of. And if you need something in your bug out bag that you didn't put in there, your car is right there, or your minivan or your truck or whatever. You have that safety net, and you get to go be a blessing to people. And so the coolest thing about Grindstone Ministries and now Caleb House is how many total badasses the Father has brought alongside us to bless us with, to have the capability to do what we do. I have just been absolutely amazed at his provision and blessing, the way things just show up, who we need, what we need, when we need them, constantly, always on time, man. And so again, if you have a conviction to do something, just start. And my old man used to tell me, son, you can do anything you want to do. It just takes one word. Just start, right? You start, and then you add that tenacity that we were talking about earlier. Bro, unstoppable. So I'm just some guy in Eastern Oklahoma. I'm not the badass, right? But we've been fortunate that we've been able to be a blessing to a lot of people, and that is not because of me.
No, that's truly awesome. I just wanted to say, Bushmaster 5 Romeo, thanks so much for joining the Grey family. And Zane, I did see your super chat. Congrats, Bear, on your 501c3 status. That being said, folks, I do have Bear's link to his channel and Grindstone Ministries in the description. So you guys want to check that out. I did kind of have a foresight in getting that knocked out there, so folks can check that out. All right, man. Woo. I'm glad you're a good talker, because I'm trying to keep track of back and forth with all the chat and whatnot. And I'm like, all right.
I'm watching it too. I love all the familiar names that I'm seeing. White Fox and Jay Morris is here, and then, like I said, Dudley is here. I've seen Chris Haynes is here. Cat is here. What's up, Cat? Like Dragon Shield, like I said earlier. John Plato, Heartland Survival. Yeah, man. I love it. This is awesome. So Prepper 101, yeah.
Love Prepper 101. He is a hell of a comments that he drops in chat sometimes. Oh, Gardner Josh, thank you so much. We want to hear Bear's hear deep voice, serious Bear, huh?
Listen here, GreyMan Prepping, knife hands and things.
Oh Lord, and Jay, thank you so much for helping me and Bear put this together, man. You were truly integral part of this, so truly appreciate you, brother.
Amen.
All right. So what else do I got here? Well, I was going to ask you, I got some time flies, man, when you're having a good time. Cause I know you, a while back, this is ages ago, because I was curious. A lot of people like the AK platform and the AR platform. And I've noticed you've been kind of diving around a little bit with that. And I was wondering, would do you actually prefer that? Do you like the AK platform a little bit more than the AR platform because of its durability and whatnot and the type of rounds that it shoots, the heavier rounds? Or do you like the AR platform because it's a lighter loadout and more accuracy?
Well, I mean, Coors or Budweiser, Ford or Chevy, Steel or Husqvarna. We all know the answer to that one is Steel. Blondes or brunettes, or what about redheads? So here's the deal. I like the AK-47 because it's an AK-47. It runs, it chugs, it is accurate enough to hit a man-sized target, 500 yards. Most of us aren't good enough shooters to hit an IPSC target of 500 yards with an AK. But if you look at like Henry over at 9-Hole Reviews, that guy he's a hell of a shooter and he can certainly do it. So he's proven that the platform is capable of it. That's what it was designed to do. An AK is like shooting a rainbow. So you put a 20-yard zero in an AK, that's also your point of impact at 200. Okay. So I like 7.6239 because it's chunka, right? And one of the things I really like about 7.6239 and the AK platform is, hypothetically, let's say a guy put a drum mag and a bipod on that. Now you're approaching, as a law-abiding civilian, a base of fire weapon. And I think that's a very interesting concept. Approaching. You're not quite there, but you're approaching. What I like about the AR is I'm a big fan of commonality of caliber, that if you and I say we got into a hot mess and we actually have to go use these platforms, I have zero expectancy of me having a magazine malfunction or running dry. But if I did, if you can hand me a mag and I can use it, that's great. If I can hand you a mag and you can use it, that's great. Also, how many people are running around with spare firing pins or bolt carrier groups in their rucksack? So if your weapon goes down after the fact, I've got a spare BCG in my ruck, pull that out, slap it in. Pretty much, regardless of whatever AR platform we're talking about, pretty much there's interoperability there. AKs not necessarily. They tend to be a lot more proprietary. My go-to rifle is a 16-inch, moderately heavy barrel, just a little bit heavier than military profile, AR-15 with a comp on the end of it and a 1-8, and that thing freaking rocks. I call it my recce rifle, and if I could only have one gun for SHTF, that's what I would pick. Because I'm an American, I have more than one gun, and some of them are AKs as well. So, and I'm much more so, rather than getting into, pissing contests over which one's the best, I love Clint Smith for a lot of reasons, but I really love Clint Smith when he says, be a student of weapons craft. You should be able to pick up any gun anywhere and fight with it. And that's why I think AKs are important, and SKSs and Mosin Nagants and Glocks and SIGs and Taurus Judges and 12-gauge shotguns and bolt guns and whatever you may have. You should be able to pick up a gun and fight with it if you have to. So.
Right on, man. Solid information. I figured you'd answer it the way I expected it to. I want to say thank you to Montana Sky for joining the Grey family, and also Glock 316 for this super chat. Congrats on GreyMan partnership. Proud to be a new subscriber to GreyMan. Shalom, brother. Bear.
Sup? Shalom, everybody.
I love that when I'm in your chat, the family, the way the feel of it. You know what I mean? And that's my goal here on the Grey. On my channel is to build something like that. It's truly appreciated what you've done for the community, man.
I appreciate that. I really truly don't feel like anybody's special. I'm just a dude. Literally, this iPhone, man, this is the one that does it. Like, there's nothing. Again, like I said earlier, just speak truth to the best of your ability in your own voice, and that will resonate with people. And the more you can do that, and the more times you get up to the plate and swing the bat, the more likely you are to hit a home run. but even if it's just a single, man, cool. You made a hit. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And I never set out to revolutionize the preparedness community or anything like that. I just think that there's a lot of bad and dangerous information out there from people who have read books at best and don't know what they're talking about. And I think that that should be combated by real world experience. Mine and anybody else's that has real world experience. I would much rather talk to a practitioner of something than talk to a theorist, because theory doesn't matter once you get out into the real world. You know, when I was in heavy construction, we used to do what are called as-builts all the time, meaning the engineer in the office, air-conditioned office in the cubicle somewhere, designed it this way. And then you get out into the field and you go, there's not a chance in hell that's going to work. Well, what are we going to do? Well, there's as drawn, what the engineer drew, and there's as built, which is what we built. And so practitionership matters, and practitionership builds towards merit. And I believe strongly in merit. Your ideas are only as good as they are strong and provable, and you've done them. And so theory, it has its place. Without theory, we don't get to the point where we can get to practitionership. But on the scales of bear, I always weigh much more heavily practitionership than theory, because everybody has an opinion. It does not matter what your opinion is if you've never done it. So that's what I'm trying to do, man.
No, and I hear you, man. It's you know, I look at the kids here, like my children and whatnot, and trying to get them in the same mindset that I'm in. You know, luckily, my wife, I like to call her Lady Gray, you know, teaching her things that I've learned from my experiences. You know, simple things like, you know, close quarter combat. You know, how to, you know, use a gun in the hallway. You know, just little things like that. Set in case I'm not here to do the job, that she can, you know, back me up. You know, she has my 6 on that, and at least we can move forward, because I would love to have, you know, a situation like yourself with a solid mag. Now, I got some good friends that are all ex-military, right? But we're a little bit spread out. So we have a plan in place. Things go south, and where we're going to, you know, hook up and link up at, you know, there's a lot of good trained folks. One of my best friends, he's if you're familiar with pararescue in the Air Force, he was one of them. And I respect him a lot, some of the things and he's gone through, and some of the things that I've helped him get through mentally, you know, because those folks had to go through some stuff. But all in all, it's a, you know, to me, this community is a blessing in disguise for some folks. I don't understand if they can see that all we are is messengers, you know, trying to pass along this message and to get folks on the same page, and at least get them informed, to give them a chance. Jeremy Taylor, thank you so much for joining the Grey family. Jay Dudley, you said it correctly. Tribe of everything, man. I hear you there, brother. I do like that. What is it? You got that new shirt, that tribe shirt. I saw something like that.
Tribe up. Yep.
I like that. That was pretty cool. We're in the 35-minute mark. So I guess I should give these subscribers themselves and all the folks in chat an opportunity to ask Bear some questions. Now, this being said, I cannot promise I will get to every single question, but if you can please put it in all caps, we will try to answer them the best that we can. I'll try to filter them to the Bear, and we'll go from there. So that being said, you know, have at it. And in the meantime, let me see here. What else? Did I have anything else sitting on this little piece of paper that I had set up? I'm sitting there looking. I just got some dates and stuff. I don't even know where I pulled December 4th, 2017. You must have did a video or something there.
If you say I did.
Yeah, you were talking about ammo prices back then, and I thought it was pretty interesting that you were back in December 2017. You're talking about ammo prices and going out and shooting and whatnot. And I was like thinking to myself, yeah, imagine if we had the forethought to buy, you know, several pallets back then.
Oh, bro, I should have bought a warehouse full of ammo. What's up, Texas T? Shalom, brother.
And Texas T, thank you for that. Old Mutt, thank you for that as well.
We would have been having this conversation from the back of my yacht if I'd bought ammo, that much ammo 3 years ago. Hey, it's the Fat Man. What's up, Fat Man?
All right. Let me see. Liberty Off-Road Bear, how to get kids, teens excited and involved into prepping.
Okay. So you have to involve them. as the proud owner of 2 teenagers, proud asterisk, they aren't always enthused to do the things that their parents want them to do. So what I would recommend doing is give them dominion over a facet of whatever you're trying to prepare for. Let's say, you have a teenage daughter. You're like, hey, look, unless you want to be eating rice and beans for the rest of your miserable teenage angsty life, maybe you could start taking some involvement and telling us what we are going to stockpile based upon what we know how to prepare. So your job is one day a week or once per week, you need to come up with a food storage recipe. I don't care what it is, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be out of our food storage. You just need to come up with a recipe, and then we will stockpile that stuff. Capiche? Capiche. And that's just one example, right? You find ways to involve them. I mean, my son, we go shooting. The last day that we went to the range, that boy shot an AR-10, and we sighted several AR-15s, and I think he shot a pistol, and he shot a bolt gun. And I mean, I don't even know what the rounds count expended were, but it was a lot in a couple of hours. But we still accomplished what we were sighting in rifles, right? And so if you're excited about it, chances are they're going to be excited about it. You just have to, like all things with all people, you have to have find a way to connect with them on it. And also, I will say this, sometimes with kids, there's just no getting around it. You just got to knife hand your freaking teenager and say, hey, cool, you live under my house. This is the way it's going to be. You will do this or you will suffer the consequences. And the better dialogue you have with them or anybody you do life with, the less often you're going to need knife hands. So I would work on that. But sometimes you just got to say, sit down, shut up, make rice or whatever, right? But yeah, I would find ways to involve them. You're going to know your kids way better than I am, but figure out how you can connect with them through preparedness. Do they like leatherworking? Cool. Make sheaths for all the bushcraft knives you bought, or maybe you want to make kydex, or they're worried about their fitness, or they want to get more fit. Cool. Go for a ruck with them, or a plate carrier walk, or whatever. Do push-ups with them in the backyard, whatever. Like, they're your offspring. Connect with them like you should with anything else.
Solid advice, man. Solid advice. It's funny. I did a video of some summer activities to try to get the kids involved. You know what I mean? Hopefully that will spark some interest and give some folks ideas what to do with their kids and whatnot. All right, moving on to the Fat Man. The Fat Man says, any classes coming to Vegas, baby?
Yes, there are classes coming to Vegas. I have no idea when, though, because it's literally not my job. That's Stalwart Peacekeeper's job. And I do know we put together 42 national dates between now and 1 January 2022. And Vegas is on that list. And so stay tuned to refugetraining.com. And if you're a member of the Bear Nation, you know damn well I'm going to tell you on Patreon, and then I'm going to tell you on YouTube when we've got classes. Those classes are coming. And I believe in Vegas, we're going to be doing both a Responder 1, which is our 4-hour Stop the Bleed curriculum, as well as a Responder 3, which is 8-hour civilian TAC med, which means if you've ever wanted to shoot me, you will have an opportunity to do that. But I'm going to shoot you back, probably faster than you can. It's going to be fun. But yes, Vegas is on the list, and all these dates are going to be posted within the next couple of weeks. We've already posted more dates right now. We got classes in San Antonio and Cleveland, Ohio, and Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Springfield, Missouri. Gosh, and I'm missing some. Philadelphia, Philly, PA, and there's a couple others that are posted currently. And then we've got classes everywhere from Pacific Northwest to Vegas, back to Georgia, to Florida, to Texas, somewhere up. Yeah, 42 of them. I can't remember all of them.
I'm hoping one of these days you'll get down to usually you're in North Florida. I'm down here in East Central Florida.
Yeah. Next, we're coming to Orlando next in Florida. So if you make the drive,
I can make that one.
Be my guest. Come. You should come to training. You are my guest.
Will do, brother. I'll have to
Come-
keep an eye out for that.
Yep.
I mentioned you to a friend of mine who's doing combat training down here. He's friends of I don't know if you guys know who. Oh man, he runs Fieldcraft Survival. Mike Glover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a friend of his down here. It's named Musa, and I was like, hey, I'm interviewing Bear Independent, man. He does a lot of stop the bleeds and stuff like that. And I think you guys would jive pretty good, to be honest with you. But that's just me just jabbering the jaw with other folks that come into my shop.
What is the site to sign up for training? That is refugetraining.com.
All right, let's move on to the next question. And I'm probably, folks, we're going to try the best we can, man. But it says, Anthony Jensen says, how much food for 1 year? What about protein?
So I'm familiar with the name Anthony Jensen. What's up, Anthony? What about protein? Yes, you need it. So I'll give you the super quick spiel. 3,200 calories per person per day is what you need, and that's based off of data that I compiled literally from a dozen different sources. It's also backed up by that's what you need for a military-aged male between 16 and 35 years old to not lose muscle mass while engaged in strenuous activity. So if you have 750 pounds of grains, be them corn, rice, wheat, or beans, they have roughly 1,600 calories per pound. They're all within 50 calories per pound of one another. If you extrapolate 750 pounds times 1,600 calories per pound and divide that by 365.24 days per year, you end up with 3,277.18 calories. So you have a net excess of 77.18 calories per person per day, which is why the number is 750 pounds per person per year. And that's grains, corn, rice, wheat, beans. What about protein? Yes, you need protein. You can make a complete protein by combining rice and beans, but I would strongly recommend you get things like canned chicken or cows or sheep or whatever you can. Those tuna packets, whatever floats your boat. But you need to get back to the food that you store is the food that you eat. Because most of us don't have the expendable income to buy a crap ton of food and then put it on a shelf somewhere and say, that's my emergency food. So just make your pantry deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I would look at things like canned protein. Also, peanut butter, great way to go for protein. And take it from me, they do sell it by the 5-pound bucket. Get them back to those teenagers. You should not let them open it, though, because then you have a 5-gallon bucket full of peanut butter that there's no good way to eat that unless it's the end of the world. And it's not currently the end of the world. So I know at least one person who looks a lot like me that has a 5-gallon bucket full of peanut butter that has literally one swipe of a butter knife out of it. I was really happy when that happened. Knife hands.
Jay Morris, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Thank you so much. And for you folks new to the channel, whoops, I'm scrolling all over here. KRF, thank you so much for the donation. Grindstone doing the things. Definitely, truly appreciate that. For you folks that are new to the channel, I every super chat that someone does, at the end of the month, I count how many times they super chat, and I do this giveaway, which I'm still waiting for. If anybody sees Liz Rambo in their chat, let her know that she won last month's giveaway. I got all kinds of stuff here for her. A bucket of food. I got a Becker knife. I got a headlamp. I got all kinds of stuff for her. But anyways, all right, enough about me. Let's continue where we're at. If not, we're never going to get done. Cat Lady Prepper 23 meow. She loves you saying the whole thing. Bear, what made you prep and get ready? And what is your favorite thing in a bug out bag?
Ooh. Okay, favorite thing in a bug out bag is easy because I have very few things other than the bare necessities. But I have coffee in there, and I love coffee, and I'm pretty excited when I have to live out of bug out bags that there is coffee in there. In fact, this past winter when we had that hellacious ice storm and snow and all that, I went and lived out of my bug out bag for a few days just because I needed some space. And I laid under a tarp shelter on top of my sleeping bag with a raging fire in 30-degree weather in an ice storm with the wind blowing, sipping hot coffee and sweating. And it was the best. So again, go do the things, go use your stuff, because if you can make a fire in an ice storm and drink coffee while sweating underneath a tarp shelter, it's the best. So coffee for sure. And then what was the other question?
What made, I guess what was your initial, was there something that got you into prepping?
Oh, for sure. So I mentioned earlier that I was a FEMA contractor for a while, and I've done other work with the federal government, and I'm no fan. And I realized after Hurricane Katrina, there's no way these people, A, have our best interest at heart, B, are actually capable at a federal level of taking care of us, and C, not their job. That is not the federal government's job is not to be everybody's daddy. And so seeing the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, I was like, no way, dude. I've got to start taking some personal responsibility here. And for a long time, I was the guy with weapons and training, and that was what I called preparedness. And that's a terrible way to approach preparedness, because you're training the one life that you have for a roll of the dice that hopefully, if you're better at taking lives than somebody else's, you get some meager supplies. That's ridiculous. And then I met my wife, and I realized, with wife and kids, I need a lot more stuff than just one man does. And that's where I started doing the calculations on caloric density of food and yada, yada, yada. And my preparedness as far as high and deep, what does PhD stand for? Piled higher and deeper. So to the extent that I'm a PhD in preparedness, it's because all my crap is piled higher and deeper than the average. But that's because you just need more stuff when you have a wife and kids. And I will touch on this. Preparedness in a lot of ways, and what I consider probably the archetypical negative connotation prepper, is somebody who buys a bunch of stuff so that they can reduce hardship later down the road. I really don't love that, honestly. I like to define preparedness as the ability to maintain normalcy for the people that you love. And we get to decide what normalcy looks like and how long we're going to maintain it for. And depending on those two factors, and a few others, but depending on those two factors, that determines how we shape our preparedness journey. Am I worried about a storm and being out of power for 2 to 4 weeks and that's it? Or am I worried about a systemic collapse nationally or internationally? That's a whole different thing, right? But that's up to me. I get to determine what that looks like. But simply buying stuff doesn't make you a prepper. It makes you a hoarder. You have to combine that stuff with the skill set to be able to use those things, and the heart set and the mindset to employ the skills and the stuff that you have when hard times come. And a lot of people, I've actually got a YouTube video coming out on this shortly. A lot of people will shirk the responsibility of hardship that one needs to undertake in training, and will fill that hole with more stuff that they bought on Amazon, or they bought on bearindependent.com, or they bought from GreyMan's affiliates or whoever, right? And stuff is part of the equation, but it's actually the least valuable part of the equation. The number one is heart set and mindset. Number two is skill set. And then lastly is, what stuff do I have at my disposal to couple with my mindset, my heart set, and my skill set to actually be able to perpetuate normalcy for my people?
No, that's a solid answer, brother, to be honest with you. And this one, I see this one pop up about 4 or 5 times. So, because the chat jumped on me and it's not letting me get back. But Milo and Scarzo, I've been seeing you guys say this one. So I'm going to pull this one up. It says, how important is your faith in your prepping?
So it's incredibly important to me. Yeah, there goes Texas T again. And I'm not here to preach. I know we've got, nor am I a preacher, but I know we've got several people in the chat that are well aware of me. I read the Bible every day, and I read it on camera twice a week on Bear Independent. And I'm so Christian, the Christians don't like me. But I'm also the guy that'll say 4-letter words and drink a beer with you, or have a glass of whiskey and smoke a cigar with you, which is another thing that the archetypical Christians don't like. But that's fine. We'll all be judged at the end of an age, and it won't be by our neighbors. I'll just say that. But in the meanwhile, we're commanded to love our neighbors, and we're also commanded to love God. And so I try and do those things to the best of my ability. And if you think about the two, what I call the two prime directives that come from Messiah in Matthew 22, they said, Rabbi, Rabboni, listen, what is the greatest command in all the Torah? And he says, bro, sit down, shut up. There's two. The first is, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, with everything you got, bro. And the second is like unto it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And on this hangs all the Torah and the prophets, to which they say, you have answered correctly. And to which he says, in my mind, but not in the Bible, no shit, I'm the Messiah. So, loving your neighbor as yourself. How are you supposed to do that if you're in a position of weakness? And people will say, well, my God would never do that to me. He would take care of me. I love my Jesus. Well, me too. I love my Jesus too. Read the Bible. Bad stuff happens to the Father's people all the time, over and over and over again. And you know how they get through that? He raises up a man who says, hey, there's going to be a famine for 7 years. We should probably fill them pyramids full of grain. Good idea. Or, hey, this city over here is about to get smoked because there's no righteous men in it. We should probably bug out. Good idea. Or, hey, they just kidnapped Lot and ran away. And Abram's like, nuh-uh, not on my watch. Grabs 318 men of his house, is like, to war, bros. And they win. And they're like, holy crap, we won. Now what do? I guess we go home with all these sheep. So there's a lot of there's a lot of preparedness principles in the Word, and I derive my faith from the Word. And if you read the Bible, and I don't care what translation you read, but if you read the Bible, I promise you, from the first page to the last page, it mentions scarcity of food 87 times. 87 times from Genesis to Revelation. In fact, if you look at Matthew 24, where there's Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, is being asked by his apostles, hey, what are the signs of a coming of an age? Well, there will be wars and rumors of wars, and there will be earthquakes in diverse places, and there will be famine, and there will be disease. And it doesn't take much to start looking at that list and taking your pen out and start checking boxes and going, that sounds awful familiar. But to that point, there's a lot of people right now who are adamant that we are in the last days. And I don't know if we are or not. But I do think there have been people in every generation since Messiah who have thought that they were in the last days. And so when I see two witnesses spitting truth in Jerusalem uninterrupted, I'll know that, oh, okay, yep, it's last days. It's time to flee to the wilderness. But until then, and I think this is maybe the most important point, I do not prepare out of fear, not even a little bit. And this is no bravado. I'm not afraid of anything. And there's very few things that you could do that would break me as a man. And all of those revolve around people that I love. I'm not prepping out of fear. I am not fearful that it's the end of an age or the end of a nation or the end of my life. I frankly don't care about any of that. When it's my time, it's my time. When it's the time for all nations rise and fall. And as much as I love this flag and everything that it represents, same flag that's on your hat, same flag that men and women have fought and died for 2.5 centuries. Love it. All nations come and go. For everything, there's a season. This is biblical. It's Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 4. It's not just a song on the radio. For everything, there is a season, right? And so things will come, things will go. The Father will steward us through those things, but not without action on our behalf. And so faith for me is very much so predicated on, and faith and preparedness is predicated on the blessing. The sweet spot is in between his mighty provision and blessing and my willingness to act on conviction. And when those two things smash in together, in between there, when they like a diamond, man, all that pressure, that's the blessing. His provision and blessing and my willingness to move in conviction. When you put those two things together, that's where you get the blessing at. So, gosh, I talk too much. I'm going to shut up, bro.
You're fine, brother. You're fine. Prepper Nerd, thanks so much for the super chat. Just chipping in to support the channel. Much respect for all you're doing, Bear. Truly appreciate it. I guess we're jumping on. You know how questions just kind of pop up out of nowhere, and I'm trying to do the best I can, folks. You know, I'm not used to these many questions and this chat moving as fast as it is, but bear with me. Constitutional Homestead says, what brand of solar controller and inverter do you recommend for an off-grid solar system?
You know, frankly, I don't know enough about what's on the market currently to make any recommendations. The last solar system that I installed was several years ago. I do have this year ambition to have solar running at our place, and I will be documenting all of that on our Patreon channel. And so when that time comes, because I get this every month, we do a give me your questions post on Patreon where it's like, all right, what do you guys want to talk about this month? And we'll go through and answer as many questions as we can that month. And it's awesome. We get between 100 and 200 comments every month. So it's impossible to hit all of them. But every month it comes up. All right, Bear, when are you doing solar? Quit talking, start doing. Bring us along for the ride. It's coming. And when I do, I will be doing all of that homework. I also am blessed that in our immediate family, we have 3 master electricians. And so we'll be getting them in on the action as well when all that comes. And so, but I'm not going to sit here and give you an answer that I don't know to be true, because I just don't know at this point.
Roger that, man. I'm trying to see, this chat jumped on me again, and I'm trying to see if I missed any questions. Folks, I do apologize if I did miss any questions. I don't see anything in big, huge things. Hold on, Dean Mullis, opinions on, hold on, I do find something. Let's see what Dean Mullis had to say. Opinions on flow jack, backup manual, hand pump. Anyone? I'm not sure.
Nope.
Now, I remember Joe Morgan. He told me to ask you a question, something about a Glock way early on when we first started the chat. He said, ask Bear about the Glock G something. And Joe, if you're still in chat, if you could remind me what the heck you wanted me to ask him, I will. Because that was a long time ago, Joe, and I don't remember what model number Glock you were talking about, unless it's the same one that, Bear, do you run a Glock?
I've been known to have 3 or 4 or 12 of them from time to time.
Okay, so here he goes. Joe Morgan was listening. Thanks, brother. GreyMan, Taurus G2C.
Oh, yeah. So I like the Taurus G2C for the money. There's a couple of key issues that I have with it. The G2C has one of them has plastic sights, and then the upgraded version has got metal sights on it, and that's great. I did a video on Patreon about this. We keep almost all of the firearms content on Patreon now because YouTube's just ridiculous with that. But I like the upgrade to metal sights because the factory plastic ones on the older G2s were not as hard as Glock sights are. Glock has plastic sights, but they're much stronger, much harder than the plastic Taurus was using. So I didn't like that at all. The other issue that I had with the G2C, and it's not the gun's fault, it's mine, is that my hands can't fit that gun. It's such a small gun compared to my hand size that when I present the weapon and manipulate the trigger, I tend to push the barrel off of center because it's so little in my hands. But, you know, you're talking a 12-round double stack magazine on a small footprint in the neighborhood of $350-ish. Also, the bluing on the magazines isn't very good. So I would recommend but you get 3 magazines with the gun, or at least you did the last time I bought one. So for $350, you get the gun, the cheap plastic case, and 3 magazines. It's a pretty good deal. You can get Kydex for that all over the internet, but it's like it shoots well. It's relatively accurate. I haven't had any mechanical issues with the gun. It's just difficult for me to shoot because of the size of my hands. But for most people, and the stippling is great. It has really aggressive stippling on it, almost like the new M&P 2.0s. Really aggressive stippling, which is awesome. Just make sure if you're going to conceal carry it, you're going to need a garment in between you and the butt of the pistol, because you might as well just take 100 grit sandpaper to the side of your belly otherwise, because it's that aggressive. So
Roger that. Let me see. B3 Outdoors says, at GreyMan Prepping, if we had another Great Depression, what would a typically meal in the Bear household look like?
Well, breakfast would start with fresh eggs from the 9,000 chickens that my wife owns. And then we'd probably have either beef bacon, which if you've never had beef bacon, I would strongly recommend it. It's like swine and ribeye. I had a love child. It's incredible. And if not that, we'd probably have some sheep sausage with breakfast and some homemade biscuits, because we have a lot of wheat and a lot of flour, and my wife loves biscuits. And then for lunch, I don't know. Lunch is not one of those things that I really have truly prepped very difficult or very hard for. Rather, we tend to think of leftovers from the night before being lunch the next day, and also bread. It's our intention, and we've done this several times, to make a couple loaves of bread a day. And that doesn't, lunch is take that 5-gallon bucket of peanut butter, slather it on some bread, good to go. Or biscuits left over from the morning or whatever. And then for dinner, chicken and dumplings, or, rice and with some beans in it, and some steak or some lamb or some chicken or some turkey. And we have what we call the 7 meals plan, which we use for food storage. And so with that, we've got chili, chicken chili, stew, 15 bean soup with chicken, enchiladas, believe it or not, tacos, a whole bunch. It's actually about 10 meals at this point that we can cook from our food storage. And we also are blessed to the point now where we are out of space in our freezers, and we are literally giving sheep away because we don't have any place to put them. But actually, Dudley and I will be butchering a sheep soon and turning it into sausage, because it just has to happen. So that's what it would look like. A typical Great Depression meal around Bear's place. One of my foundational things is I'm not getting on the bus, and I'm not standing in the bread line. I won't do it. The positions of strength. I want to be able to help people, not need help. So
I agree. I've been doing some research here lately. I plan on putting out some content in regards to the Great Depression and how it relates to what's going on in society today. And there's some very eerie similarities.
Yep.
Let me see here. Suburban Hillbilly says, question, I have a first generation Glock 19 female. Why do people want to buy it every time I go to the range?
Because it's basically a Gen 5 without the ambidextrous slide release and the upgraded magazine release button, meaning that it does not have the finger groups, which most people, even if you're a Glock fan, are not terribly fond of. And also probably because they want cool guy points. That would be my answer. But I get a lot of questions on our live chats about, hey, Bear, what striker fired polymer framed 9mm pistol should I buy? I don't care. The one that fits your hand. What's your favorite kind of gun? I don't know. Again, the one I'm holding. And so whatever works, whichever one you could shoot. I saw somebody asked earlier, what do you think about the Taurus Judge? I think it's great if you can shoot it. I got a brother that runs the Judge, 45 long Colt and 410. Do I want one? No, not at all interested in it. I'd show you what I'm carrying, but we can't do that on YouTube anymore. We get instantly shut down about that quick. But I don't want a Taurus Judge. But I don't care if he wants a Taurus Judge. We've got brothers that run SIGs. We got brothers that run Glocks. We got brothers that run XDs. We've got brothers that run 1911s, brothers that run revolvers. Brother, it doesn't matter. Just whatever. My wife runs a Walther. Cool. Whatever fits your hands. And why do people want to buy it? Probably cool guy points, honestly.
Ironically, my wife runs a Walther as well. Let me see here. Dina Walters has a question. What about the power grid going down? Do you think it will happen long term?
100%. 100%. That was my subject matter expertise, was the national transmission grid and also to a lesser extent power generation. 100% the grid is going away. And so I don't intend ever to scare anybody. So I would just say you need to prepare for a world where there is no electricity. And the better you can do that, the better off you're going to be. And if it's short term, like there's a hurricane and then the power comes back on, great. But there is in my mind, now in the world of bear, I'm not saying it's right, but in the world of bear, there is a 100% probability that power goes away. It's just a matter of when. The national grid is incredibly fragile. And I cannot tell you how or why, because then that would make me a domestic terrorist, and I have no interest in being one of those. But suffice it to say that it would take very little actual concerted effort to take portions of the grid offline and to take it off on a large scale. The favorite of these prepper novels is a large scale EMP. Don't even need that, bro. We saw cascading failures in Texas, right? Well, that's because they didn't have the surge capacity in the grid. You're right, they didn't. Well, we should fix that. Cool. You get out there with a shovel and a hard hat in about 40 years when you've got one more line put up, you will have accomplished nothing. The grid is incredibly fragile. And so go ahead, brother. No,
I was going to say, I from my understanding of the research I've done, the average power station is about, 50 years old?
Correct. And the idea that we're going to use renewables to add production capacity is absurd. When I was doing that work, and this may have changed, but at the time, the number 1, 2, and 3 owners of renewable energy in the United States were ExxonMobil, British Petroleum, and Dutch Shell. So it's not about renewable energy. It's about energy. Just like when the cigarette companies were getting sued, they stalled for 10 years, not because they didn't think that their product caused cancer, but because they needed time to diversify. It's the same thing. These energy companies have diversified from oil to oil and natural gas and methane, and CNG and wind and solar and hydro. Anywhere they can get into, they are energy companies, not oil companies. And if you just do an actual cost benefit analysis, if the goal of renewables is to reduce carbon emissions, you need to have a wind turbine up for 38 years with a project life of 20 to 25 years. That turbine has to run for 38 years before it's carbon neutral. So you're in the hole 18 years the day you start the project. It's not about carbon. It's about redistribution of wealth, frankly. And the grid does not have the carrying capacity. We don't have capacitors. We don't have essentially big batteries to store the power when wind can make it and when solar can make it, and then use that when the demand on the grid happens, when that demand is put on the grid. That's why most power generation in the United States is done by creating heat. The heat heats water, which becomes steam. That steam turns turbines, whether that's nuclear or number 2 diesel fuel or coal or whatever you may have, because steam is very scalable. You need more power, you just open the valve a little bit more. You need less power, you just close the valve a little bit more. And they can run 24/7, 365 around the clock with very few hiccups, versus wind and solar. They don't. And there's no way currently to store the power that's generated during the day when the sun is shining or whenever the wind is blowing and keep that in a massive battery bank and then trickle that back into the grid as primary generation when it's needed. And so this whole Green New Deal thing has nothing to do with green. It's just simply a deal. The only green that's in that is the trillions of dollars for these energy companies. So long answer to the short question. Yeah, the grid's going away. In my world, the grid is going away. It's just a matter of when.
And just remember, folks, if you hear that term New Deal, it's been used throughout politics since the dawn of time, and it's usually not good at all.
Agreed.
All right, let me see here. Trying to stay on track here. Joni Friels, best items to prep for barred items.
Barter items. Okay, so I tend to deviate from standard prepper ideology when it comes to bartering. I do think you need some stuff for barter. And there was, gosh, I can't remember his name. The dude that survived the Civil War recently, Selko Belshek, something like that. Milo says booze, perhaps. I like small denomination precious metals, but you need to have enough of that in your immediate area in order for it to work as a currency, because small denomination precious metals can be used as a currency. Larger like I don't want to be giving away a 1 ounce silver round for a chicken. Like that doesn't quite sound fair to me, right? Or 3 potatoes, but a silver quarter, 90% silver quarter, maybe that makes sense. But larger denomination precious metals is used for wealth preservation, not for barter. But I do like small denomination precious metals for barter and trade. When it comes to physical items, most people are going to need food. Most people are going to need clothes. Boots are going to be phenomenal. Getting back to, what's up, Okie Storm Chaser? I didn't know you were in here, brother. Getting back to what we were talking about earlier, combustion. What do people need to survive? Food, water, shelter. If you can provide those things, you'll need them. And then people will go off into, what about comfort items? Yes, potentially comfort items. I would also look at skills, barterable skills. Man, I can make firewood out of anything, right? I can make electrons flow. I'm pretty good at hunting, pretty good at butchering, pretty good at planting a garden, pretty good with a rifle. I'm pretty good all around. So it'd probably be a good idea to have me on your team. But hey, I need, 3 hots and a cot and some new boots sound great. What do you got? And so I don't think, because I've met people that have literal Connex boxes filled with barter items. I don't think that's the best move. I think you should, especially now with the devaluation of the US dollar, you should buy the things that you and your family need first before you focus on bartering, and then look at what skills do you have that you could earn a day's wage with, and if we're truly in end times, if this is, if we're on the great decline here, it says in the word, a denarius for a measure of wheat, man. That's a day's wage for a quart of wheat, essentially a loaf of bread. And so if that's happening, food, man. And how are you going to earn your denarius? What are you going to do to earn your loaf of bread today? And if the answer is, I'm good with a shovel, cool, you and everybody else. If the answer is, I'm good with a rifle, cool, you and everybody else. What can you do? Well, I'm really good at tending peas. That's something. Or I know how to fix socks, or I'm pretty good at tinkering on diesel motors. That's something too. So I would definitely look at skills rather than buying another 50 pack of cheap lighters and putting them in a box somewhere. Not necessarily a bad idea to have 50 cheap lighters in a box somewhere, but skills go with you everywhere. And as the devaluation of the dollar continues, take care of you and yours first. Because if you're not good, you cannot operate from a position of strength. And then those barter items become things that should have been another can of chicken, another sack of rice, or whatever.
That's great advice. Secure your family's future first, man. I agree. Midwest Mini Homestead, thank you so much for the super chat. What's up, Bear? Glad to see you, brother.
What's up, Midwest? I see Mitch Morse is in here too, and Hunter Kirk. And Phoenix, it's awesome. A lot of people in here.
A lot of good folks in here.
Yep.
And I'm trying to we're probably not going to get through all these questions. We'll run out of time before we get through these questions, but I'll grab some more. I mean, we're at an hour and 15 minutes already. Wild Nesting says, Bear, what do you think our next shift will be?
Oofta. Well, I do think that the idea that we have a representative republic is no longer true. And I don't want to get deeply political, but I think if I learned anything from November 2020 to January 2021 is that our vote doesn't matter anymore. If it ever mattered before, it certainly doesn't now. And I was, like many Americans, really disheartened by that whole thing. So we are now, in my opinion, a republic in name only. And that is more so in some places than others. That varies state to state and region to region. But I think at a federal level, we are a republic in name only. And I think that is going to continue to become more of a reality for us, not less. I do not believe that any man can make America great again from the top down. I believe that is a bottom-up thing. And that starts with we have to be strong in our homes. We need to be strong in our communities. And we need those strong communities to form strong counties, which form strong states, which form strong regions. And then if we have all that squared away, we may be a strong country again. But that's a bottom-up grassroots thing, not a top-down. You can't simply decree, regardless of how good your intentions are, that that's it, we're great again. It doesn't work that way. America was great because America was good. And I think it's on us. We need to be good people. But when it comes to the federal system, representative republic is gone. Constitutional republic. One does not need to be a lawyer or a scholar to simply read the headlines of the day and realize that the Constitution is not honored in this country anymore. And so I think that it's just a matter of time that people get fed up with that. I think balkanization is quite possible. I also really, really think that it may not be perhaps a grassroots upswell that leads to balkanization. I think that there's a strong possibility that this country goes bankrupt, and it goes bankrupt quickly. It can no longer pay its debts. And then the United States of America, the reason the states are united is because when they do the cost benefit analysis on being individuals or being part of the union, they gain more for the states, gain more for themselves and their citizens by being part of the union than they do being an independent free state. I think that power equation is going to change as we continue to debase our currency. And so at some point, I think enough states are going to say, you know what, I've had enough of this. This makes no sense. We are ideologically misaligned with the federal government. And the treasury's broke. Why do this? And so that is another reason that it could lead to balkanization. But in general, instability, a lack of stability. Global supply chains suck. Global financial or mobility of monies suck. China's 2025 China initiative, all about them becoming a consumer population over there. And so they're going to increase their manufacturing, which means here in the United States, we need to increase our manufacturing, but we're more technology driven. Again, with the currency, there's a huge debt bubble. Instability is what I see in our near future. And it could be political. It'll probably be a multifaceted thing that is financial and political and ideological, but ultimately it'll all come down to resources. And resources are going to become more and more scarce because of all of these things. And that's going to lead to tension.
This next question, and I do apologize, folks, the chat is jumping on me and I'm not able to keep up. But I see one, and I know I kind of have an idea how you're going to answer this one, because this is the same way I'd probably answer. But Dina Walters asked, what do you think will happen July 9th? If you're familiar with what the whole Polygon and all that jazz. A little cyber, what is it? You guys in chat now, I keep on forgetting the damn name of it. Jason of the Angry Prepper did something about it not too long ago. Polygon, something
cyber Polygon.
Cyber Polygon, that whole thing.
I have no idea. I'm not going to speak on it because I honestly don't know what's going to come of it. Yeah, Sergeant Storms. If Sergeant Storms is saying, huh? Yeah, we shall see. I don't know.
I can understand why folks are worried about it, because it's the same people that were behind the health crisis and the whole, war gaming it per se are behind this too. And it's like most folks say, if we do see anything, it won't be the 9th. I think it'll be sometime afterwards if anything does happen. But if you guys in chat notice, we're already being hacked left and right. Cyber attacks, one of the largest cyber attacks ever hit just recently over the 4th of July weekend. So it's a consistent thing. I call it a cyber pandemic or cyber epidemic, whatever you want to call it.
Well,
that's just my perspective.
That was forecast by our buddy Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum, a cyber pandemic. So, yeah, July 9th, what do I know is going to happen? I'm going to be training with some badasses doing long range stuff in a state that's not Oklahoma. So that's what I think is going to happen July 9th. That's going to be awesome. As for the rest of y'all, I have no idea. Did I mention the grid is incredibly vulnerable and fragile? You should, for a myriad of reasons, prepare for a world without electricity. So
I agree. And if you guys remember my previous guest, Dr. Bradley, who is an EMP and CME expert, one of the nation's foremost experts on this stuff, he kind of agreed to what we're saying here in regards to the grid and some of the things that we need to worry about. Specifically, the CMEs and whatnot.
Hey, man, I've got time for like 1 or 2 more questions.
All right, folks. You heard it. Let me see. Do we have any last questions before because like I said, Bear is a busy person. I can imagine how much stuff you got going on in your life. Running an entire homestead, man. I give you credit for that, brother, because that's where we're headed eventually. And I can see how much work you put into it.
And the thing again is, is that going to be a massive asset for us if the world ends? For sure. But in the meanwhile, it's a ton of fun. It's a huge quality of life shift for us. We control all of our own food. I get to decide what I'm going to eat today. And sometimes it is pizza because I like pizza, or sushi because I like sushi. But sometimes it's like, hey, you know what, cow? You're going to look really good on my grill. Or you know what, sheep? Today is the day. I've had enough of you. I am eating you today. And it's a blast, man. You shouldn't, again, operating out of fear. And I'm not saying you are, but I think there's a lot of that in the preparedness space where people operate out of fear and they're like, I've just got to do this. I've just got to do that. Simmer down, man. But living on a homestead, huge blessing to us. So.
All right. The best I can do is we'll do this last one, folks. And we'll do a recap on this on Thursday night's late night live stream. We'll try to catch up and I'll try to get some stuff answered for you guys, But where was it at? Zane, I know. Zane says, besides Get Out, what is the advice for city and urban preppers?
Okay. Well, besides Get Out is accurate. The first thing I would say is GTFO with emphasis on FO right now. Comma, I realize that, well, a lot of people say, well, I just can't. Well, if you believe you can't, you are correct. You cannot. It takes one word, start, comma. If you have extenuating circumstances, and we see this a lot. Well, Bear, I'd love to leave, but, I've been divorced and my kids are here. I just can't leave my kids, or I take care of my mom or whatever, right? And I get that. And so everybody has a bug out bag, and I'm going to leave you with this. Everybody has a bug out bag, or at least they should. A bug out bag is useless if you don't have a bug out plan. Where am I going? And if your answer is the state park, 100,000 other people had that thought. Or the woods behind that 26 other people had that thought, okay? Or will within 30 seconds of SHTF, okay? So where are you going? Bug out plan. And literally, how am I going to get there? What are the 3 routes I'm going to take? What is the list of stuff that needs to make it into my vehicle? How do my kids know when they're at school? If I text them this word, that means get up, go to the front of the building right now. I'm coming to get you. Or come straight home. Don't go to extracurricular activity or whatever. What are your plans? You need a well-laid plan, right? The rule of the 7 Ps. Proper previous planning prevents piss poor performance, right? you need a well laid out plan, and that plan should include your bug out kit, everything that's got to go in your vehicle. It should be predicated on your bug out location. Where am I going? How long does it take to get there? Well, it's 6 hours away. Do you have enough fuel to get from here to there? And it's 6 hours on a good day. So do you need to put a pre-positioned cache in between you and where you need to be that's got some fuel in it, maybe some granola bars, whatever, right? So that you have a stockpile somewhere in between. And I know that sounds crazy, but we're talking about extenuating circumstances here, right? So where are you going? How are you going to get there? Who are you taking? What are you taking with you? And then what are you going to do when you get there? And so that's the bug out plan. And so if you're in the city and you can't leave and you've got a bug out bag, but you don't know what you're doing with it, I would start there. Bug out plan, which is predicated on the bug out location. Where am I going? And where I'm going and who I'm going with determines what I need to take, which is your bug out kit. And where the bug out bag comes in is that is our last ditch man portable system that if the car breaks down or the road is blocked or we run out of fuel, whatever, we have to walk because walking sucks. Okay. Compared to driving, walking sucks. Everybody has this fantasy. When the world ends, I'm going to throw on my rucksack and I'm just going to go right through the woods. Yeah, homie, go do that for a day or 12 and realize how much it sucks. It sucks. Should you be able to do it? Of course. Is it fun? Hell no. It's not like reading a book, okay? So, but your last ditch effort, everything you have to have, that's in your bug out bag. Your nice to haves are in the bug out kit, which is in your vehicle, your bug out vehicle, which is going to your bug out location, which is all encompassed by your bug out plan. And I would literally encourage you to put it out on paper. Go to Google Earth, Google Maps, print out area. The satellites that we have today for free are better than what the government had a decade ago. Okay. Print out maps, mark them up, put them in a binder, get a code word figured out with your kids or your significant other. Figure out just a rally point. Get some basic commo skills, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency, basic stuff, and at least put the bones of a plan together and know where you're going because you do not want to be trying to figure this stuff out on the worst day of your life. Any one of us, if we have to enact these plans, it's going to be the worst day of our life. It legitimately shit has hit the fan. It is a bad day. So I want to take as much of the emotional decision-making process out as I can so that I've got a protocol that I can run. And once I have a protocol that I can run, I can test it. Hey, kids, go. The emergency word is surgical tape. And if I text you surgical tape, that means go. Okay, run it. Run the plan. Oh, I wonder, SHTF, I'm going to bug out in 6 minutes. 2.5 hours later, when you're trying to stuff your toddler into the car, you're going to realize it's not as easy as it sounds. And so if you are in the city, I strongly encourage you, bug out bag, great. Get a bug out plan, a real comprehensive plan. Whatever you were going to do this weekend, it's not nearly as important as figuring that out. So I'd start with that.
All right, man. That's solid advice, man. And like I said, I can't disagree with anything you said, brother, to be honest with you. I mean, you're in the same mindset as me, so that's good to know. At least I'm on the same track. Well, folks, I want to say, first of all, thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. Truly appreciate that. I want to say everything that came over from a Bear Independent that's hanging out with us. Hopefully you'll decide to hang out and look at some of my content. Might work for you, might not. Who knows? Thanks for all the new members. Thanks for the super chats. I hope everybody got some enjoyment out of this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You know how that goes, folks. We need to break that YouTube algorithm. Other than that, Bear, truly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy life, man, to come and visit and hang out with Grey on the channel, man. And folks, I'll try to talk to Bear, and maybe we'll get him back on in another month or so when he's not, when he got some more time, and we'll do this again, folks. All right, for
sure. And you're gonna come to the Florida class.
For sure. That would be on my channel. I will definitely video that, brother.
And we're going to teach you how to not die. And Dudley, I know you're on the chat right now, so Grey's going to get with you and figure out what color bear fact we're going to send you to. And thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. You did a great job. You really did a great job.
Appreciate that,
And
brother.
shout out to everybody in the chat. If you're not subscribed to Grey, take your lazy ass over to the little button that says subscribe and click it, because why not? Do it. It's great content. And yeah, I'll be back. We'll figure out how to make it work. Thank you for having me, bro.
Roger that. So good night, everybody. God bless, and be safe out there.
Bless you.